let me just fix myself so I'm a little bit more, you know, ready. Okay, hello everyone. What was my hands just then? Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Tegan sitting in her lounge talking about a different aspect of mental health. If I look tired, it's because I am. I just woke up from a nap and it's coming up to the end of the year. Stress is packing on, the sleep is not happening as well as it should be, and I also got a new camera, so if I'm looking up, it's because the lens viewfinder is flipped up, popped up above the lens, but I'll try not to do that. But yeah, I've been trying, I haven't actually been trying, that's a lie. I have been thinking about making this video for a little while now. It branched from a conversation that I had with one of my friends who also recently got diagnosed with PTSD, and you know, she kind of struggled with that diagnosis because she was like, actually, I don't think I have PTSD because I, didn't go through something like a single traumatic event. My mum died really young and all this other stuff happened in a short space of time. So, but that's different to, PTSD. And I've been doing a lot of research and, talking to different people about my diagnosis of PTSD, and I thought I'm actually going to sit down and talk about post-traumatic stress disorder and the misconceptions about it, and hopefully show that, PTSD isn't, it is like, those single traumatic events like being in the war or a car crash or rape and all those really, really super awful things, but it is also the things like, a parent dying at a young age, or having to, make all those, the whole process of like a parent dying when you're super young. So I thought, I'm going to talk about post-traumatic stress disorder today. So buckle up. It should be quite interesting, hopefully. But I just want to make a disclaimer that I am in no way qualified to I'm no way qualified to encourage yourself to diagnose yourself with PTSD, or even try and make it seem that I know everything about it, because I definitely don't. But I'm trying to just shine a light on these different types of mental illnesses that I'm living with and my experience with them, and hopefully not normalize it, but you talk about it and start the conversation, because talking about it is always a good idea. So to start off with, I thought I would just clear up some definitions. So first one is trauma. So I think the first reason we don't think of PTSD as being viable for people like me to have is because they don't really know what the definition of trauma is. Sorry, I'm looking at my little laptop because I don't want to, I'm sometimes a little bit dumb. Not dumb, I'm a smart person, but sometimes anyway. So what is considered trauma? A traumatic event is an incident that causes physical, emotional, spiritual, or psychological harm. Example of these traumatic events include a death of a family member, a friend, a teacher, a pet, a divorce, a physical pain, all those things. So anything that puts your body into a state of shock, affects your hauora, your well-being, those four pillars of hauora. Shout out to health. So that's the type of trauma. There are 3 different types of trauma. Acute trauma, which happens, acute trauma, which results from a single incident. So, one family member dying, or the one injury. You then have chronic trauma, which is repeated, such as domestic violence, or sexual abuse over a long amount of time, or psychological abuse, like toxic relationships, all that kind of stuff. That's chronic because that's a long time. And then you have complex trauma, which is what I suffer with, which is exposure to a varied and multiple amount of traumatic events often of an invasive and interpersonal nature. So for me, that is my 2 parents dying in the space of 13 months at a young age. So I'm not just saying that young people are the only people that can suffer from it, but being classified as still a child, because I'm still under the age of 25, it is affecting my brain development, because my brain is still developing. So that's something else not to forget about. But yeah, so that is the definition of trauma. So I think by, knowing the proper definition for trauma, it can kind of, give an insight to the fact that post-traumatic stress disorder, it isn't just from, that single event, that massive, war, all that kind of stuff, because it's literally post-traumatic stress disorder. So post meaning after, so after the traumatic event, stress disorder. So the stress that comes after a traumatic event. So it's a mental health condition that's triggered by a traumatic event, either experiencing it or witnessing it. So another type of PTSD is, witnessing it. So if you witnessed a car crash or, like stuff like that, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. So most people who go through traumatic events have some temporary difficulty adjusting to normal day-to-day life. So without, you can definitely go through a traumatic event and not have PTSD. So if it's not affecting, after a few months or years, if it's not getting any better, then you're probably looking at PTSD. And so for me, that's kind of why I was diagnosed with it, is because my mental health and the way I feel about my parents dying hasn't changed, and I still get flashbacks and I still get all that crap that comes with PTSD. So yeah, it may start within a month of the traumatic event, but it may also be triggered later down the track. So yeah, for some people, they don't realize they're going to suffer from it until something triggers it, 10 years down the track even, and that's really scary. But yeah, I think, so there are 4 different types of post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms. Intrusive thoughts, so recurrent unwanting memories of the event. So for me, this is the main one that I suffer from. So I kid you not, every day I will be, sitting down, having a little daydream, I'll be walking to uni, and I'll see something that's pretty, just normal, and it all just links back to either the week before my dad died leading up to the night he died, or the week leading up to my mum's death and the 2 weeks after. So it'll either be one or the two, a combination of both, and it's kind of like a supercut. Like, it's kind of like, not really the highlights of that, but I'm put back in that place, and I'm reliving it, and I'm feeling all the same things that I felt, almost the intensity that I first experienced it. And that's what's really scary, is that I can't control that. Like, I can't stop it. I'm getting better at it. Like, I'm getting better at suppressing it, which isn't great, but when it's interfering with your when it's interfering with your day-to-day life, you probably don't want to be constantly thinking about it, which is the second type of symptom, which is avoidance. So not wanting to speak about it or think about it. And I think this is, not what I have a downfall in, because I can quite openly speak about it, but actually sitting down and thinking about it is really hard for me. And when I was, I asked my psychologist, I was like, why are you saying that I have PTSD? Because at first I was like, no, that's reserved for, all the massive big accidents. And she was like, no, Tegan, you're in denial. And I got super defensive. I was like, honey, like, I know that my mum is dead. I know that my dad is dead. I can tell you all about it. And she was like, yeah, okay, that's at a cognitive level, but like emotionally, deeper than that, you're not accepting it. And I was like, yep, okay. I kind of pondered on it. It's not until, a few months down the track where I'm actually like, yeah, you're right. I'm not. And I think that's okay. Like, my brain and my body knows what I can deal with and the extent that I can deal with it at a certain amount of time. And I think it protects itself. So, yeah. The next this is getting really long and I'm sorry, but if you've lasted to this point, you're a true bro and you're doing well. Negative changes in thinking and mood, and so this is where my depression and anxiety come in. So I like to think about it as the PTSD is the underlying cause of everything that's kind of bubbling up here. So like, you know, the trouble sleeping, which is the fourth and final type of symptom, change from physical and emotional reactions. Yeah, trouble sleeping, the trouble concentrating, the angry outbursts, the aggressive behavior, the overwhelming sense of guilt, the you know, the what could I have done, the trouble sleeping, the panic attacks, the depression, the suicidal thoughts, you know, all that kind of stuff is all linked to the PTSD. And the next part, like the final thing that I want to talk about with PTSD is that intensity of it is like the intensity of PTSD can change as well. So for instance, like sometimes my PTSD will get triggered more than others. So like at the moment it's pretty okay, like I'm dealing with it pretty okay, but something will, you know, come up and I'll lose the plot, and that's just a symptom of PTSD. So yeah, I think I don't want anyone to, if you're relating to what I'm saying, to kind of self-diagnose yourself. If you do think that you are suffering from PTSD, definitely like seek advice from a counselor. But yeah, my point in making this video was to just kind of shine a light on it. And yeah, I don't want to normalize it, because PTSD is a terrible thing and people are dealing with it. And yeah, I think my purpose in making this video was just to say, hey, look, yeah, okay, it is these things, you know, like from after war and car crashes and rape and all those really terrible, like horrible things, but it's also, you know, from complex trauma. So yeah, like the shock of my mum dying 13 months after my dad dying, or even the shock of my dad dying, for starters. So yeah, I hope this was informative. Or as always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm really down to get jiggy with the conversation. Oh, gross, that was bad. But yeah, so thank you. Feel free to message me as always. I'm always here to chat, and it's actually World Mental Health Day today. I feel like it always is, but that's good. So yeah, shout out to my mental health homies. Keep trucking on, and remember, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay. Thanks, Jessie J. Right. Bye, friends.